Ghana's agricultural sector has been described as one with a lot of promise, with the entire economy being described as an agrarian economy. Concerns have been raised about the average age of farmers in the country. With the increasing rate of youth unemployment, young people are being encouraged to go into agriculture and agribusiness. We're here to speak to Portia Yeboah, director of Oak Farms, a young lady into agriculture, to find out the real situation on the ground. Portia, so how long have you been doing this, being in farming?
I started 2016 thereabouts, so that will be about 7-8 years.
7-8 years?
Yes, I think so.
Wow, how has the 7-8 years been for you?
Quite challenging, exciting, but most importantly, you learn as you move along. And that's how far I've been able to come with the farming business.
I see. So in 2016, when you started, was it here in Accra?
No. I started in Agric. Yes, fortunately for me, my chiefs allocated some piece of land, about 100-acre piece of land for my project to support the youth in Agric and then also with education. And so I started in Agric, where I cultivate maize, beans, pepper and granite at the moment. We just started with some few ruminants in addition.
I see.
Yes.
And this is maize, beans,
granates and some chili pepper.
Chili pepper.
Yes.
That's how you started in Agric?
Yes.
100 acres.
Yes. Currently we are doing about 65 acres,
65 acres.
out of the 100 acres. Yeah.
How did you get the chiefs to give you 100 acres of land?
Well, first is by the grace of God, but secondly, it was the vision I sold to them, because that land wasn't sold to me. It was given to me to support my project, which is focused on women empowerment, child education, and then also youth development. And so I sold the vision to them, what I want to do as a young person, and they bought into that and believed in me and handed the piece of land over to me. So, and I think for the past few years, I've been able to prove myself to them, and so they keep on supporting me with anything that I require on that land.
So I ask this question because you have a lot of young people who want to get in there, and one of the complaints is that having access to land or to even get it at a cheaper rate is quite difficult. So what you had was a plan.
Yes.
The plan that you had, well thought through, and you sold it to them.
Yes.
And they bought into it.
Yes.
And this is where we are.
Yes.
Wow. So how many people do you employ there in Agric?
Permanently, we have about 4 permanent employees. I have 2 main farm managers and then 2 other assistants. But then, because we deal with Bade people, during the planting, the harvesting, and then the preparation of the land, we employ about 25 to 30 people in between these seasons.
So these are the laborers that you employ.
But on the farm, we currently have 5
permanent employees. And then these temporary ones, 25, 30.
Between 25 to 30.
That's huge. You are actually giving people at least some ends meet.
Yes. And besides that too, we have a cooperative for women.
Right.
Yes, because we have quite a number of women who farm around our area, and so we form a cooperative for them where we support them with other training skills to support us, because sometimes you are unable to meet demand, and so we also get these women to supply us with their produce. Therefore, whatever training that we gain here in other parts, we go and then we train them to practice, so that they can also employ the right practices there, so that when we buy their produce, it's similar, of the same quality as ours. Yeah.
So how is a harvest like? I mean, this is from 2016, Ejura, where you started. When it's harvest time, how much do you produce from the market, I mean, from the farm where you are onto the market?
Well, today, for instance, the recent one we did, if I'm using 10 acres as a yardstick for the maize, we were able to make about 60 bags of 64 kg. That's the very large size, and so per acre, it means we're able to get about 8 to 10 bags per acre.
Wow.
From the farm.
I see.
Yes.
So this is Ejura where you started.
Yes.
But today where exactly are we? Can you tell us for our viewers as well?
Today we are in Accra, University of Ghana Livestock Poultry and Research Center, which is Agric. So this is one of the sites that we operate from as our relationship and partnership with the University of Ghana School of Agric, which is Agric here. We partner with them to provide training for our youth in agribusiness enterprise project. And so as a result of it, again, they also believed in our vision and allocated some plots of land for our projects. And so that's where we are today.
So just for the benefit of our viewers, we're on a farm and I see a number of beds, as you call it, right?
Yes.
Here. So take us through it. What are we seeing on this large piece of land that we have?
Okay, so we have some cucumbers that we are harvesting, as you can see. We also have some nursery for lettuce, and then we also have some pepper here. And as part of our training, we also train the youth in aquaculture. So you can see we have 2 ponds here filled with, I think, about 3,000 fingerlings each
Right.
to produce some fish. And then we also have this Aprotech structure we are putting up to test and see if Ghanaians we can manufacture our own greenhouse. And so this is our own design that we are testing to see if it's feasible based on our weather conditions, so that we can start some vegetable production in there.
Through some form of greenhouse farming?
Yes, that's
so this
something
is a
we
structure
are.
you built by yourselves?
Yes, so all the stuffs here, we did it ourselves. I mean, the land was given with forest on it, so we just we started clearing it piece by piece to be able to put up these
okay,
farms.
so shall we walk? Let's walk. Show me, because I see these pipes here and connected to some pumps as well. What are these
Yes,
for?
so these pipes are actually connected to a dam that we have here, and so that's what we use for our irrigation. Yes.
The pipes, you've laid pipes
Yes.
underground all the way to
the dam.
dam
Yes.
over there.
Yes, and then we have these ones are sprinklers. These are particular ones, but in the greenhouse we've connected what we call the drip irrigation system. So we're doing that to test the two, which of them suits the kind of environment we have here, and be able to do. These cucumbers have been harvested, and so you wouldn't get it as nicely as it's expected. So yes, we've harvested them, and so we are currently trying to clear
I see one
the
there.
place. Yes.
Lying there.
These ones are left to lie down so that we can use the seeds for regrowth sometimes. Yeah, so sometimes we just leave them to ripe and then we use them later. We just get the seeds out. These ones are fresh.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. So these pumps, these are sprinklers, you see?
Yes, these ones are sprinklers. The drip irrigation, we have
Over
one
there.
in there.
So this is different from this. I see the leaves are different. So
Yes.
what-
This is
what
pepper. This is pepper.
Right.
Yes.
I see. What kind of pepper is this?
This is green pepper. Is it a bell pepper? Why are you laughing? I'm asking you. This is green pepper. Yes.
I see.
This is green. Then we also have the bell pepper as well. The bell pepper are the ones you call paposhito, the normal pepper.
So the paposhito we know is
Most of the times, yes.
it's called there is the bell pepper.
Yes.
That's what you call it.
Yes. So this one
Looks like a bell.
is more or less. This one is more or less the same, but these ones are the green ones. But when you leave them, they can ripe, right? So these ones are the normal pepper that we eat, but mostly they come out green. So some call it the green pepper, some call it the normal pepper.
Right. I see. So talk to me about some of the challenges that you face with as a young woman or young lady into agriculture over the last 6 years or so. How's it been?
It's been challenging, Alfred, I must say. Even to break even was quite recently, and so for the past 5 years I was incurring more or less loss than and not even breaking even. And so it's been challenging in terms of finance for the project. And so as a young lady, I have to work and inject my income into the farms. I also get support from families and relatives and people who actually believe in my vision and dreams. And so that's how we've come by to be able to get to where we are. There are quite other challenges as a female, especially with the labor force that we work with. Most of the times our farming system is such that it's predominantly occupied by less literate people or uneducated people, let me put it that way. And so most at times they feel I could school now, those kind of stuff. So you tell them to do something, the moment you leave, you come up or you come back and they're doing something else. Sometimes to our cultural beliefs makes them feel like, why should I sit down for a woman to tell me what to do? And so sometimes that also affects the work that we do, especially in the villages, especially with my area where we have the 100 acres, because that's quite in a rural area as compared to Accra. And so those are the challenges. But I think the most important ones too has to do with mechanization. Although we have people operating tractors and all that, however, they are not given that requisite skills to be able to operate these machines in a proper way. And so it affects whatever kind of machine you put on the farm. I got a machine, and less than 1 year, the tractor got broken down. It's currently been sitting at the maintenance shop for the past 2 years. And this was a brand new tier rubber tractor. Wow. So you can imagine the people operating were people who were recommended in the town as the best. In fact, I had to even bring some of them in Accra for the mechanization center in Accra here to give them some training on the use of the new machine. But it still got broken down because we don't have trained, qualified people to manage these machines on the field. So no matter how much investment you put into mechanization, because of the lack of some of these qualified people, you end up having issues with the machines. And currently in Ghana, besides MOFA once a while getting a grant or funding to do any training in that space, there is no training that somebody can wake up one day and say, I want to be a tractor operator or a machine operator, and therefore I'm going to enroll myself in and do it. No, we don't have that. And those are some of the challenges that we're being faced as farmers here in the part of
and MOFA, and that's the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. You know, these are the real challenges that generally even both male and females in
Yeah.
farming face. But even more so, you're also facing other peculiar challenges just because you are a female in farming or a lady in farming. That makes the situation even more complicated.
More complicated.
Than what it is.
More complicated. Is like I said, most of the gender bias or stereotypes come in when you have more or less the traditional beliefs and practices coming into contact with you as an individual. Otherwise, most of the challenges, like you mentioned, are general to every farmer. Yes.
You talked about finances and the fact that you're having to work, and then the money you get from other businesses, you pump it into farming.
Basically, it's because of the risk involved in agriculture. I mean, no financial institution is so much ready, and even those who claim they are giving financial support to farmers and all that, the requirements sometimes are so beyond any average farmer to be able to meet. But you can also understand them because they are also an institution using somebody's money to run their business, and therefore cannot risk it for you. And so I think it's more depends on the support systems of our policies, of government, and so many things, because the more we get these support systems in place, the easier and the flexibility we have even when we encounter some risk, and the financial institution will be there to support us. But if the farmer is left to bear the entire risk alone, why would the financial institution want to also risk their resources in supporting this, especially if they are faced with challenges that are natural causes, such as these armyworms that we are having all over, and so many other. Now there's a change in the climate. The time we used to plant and harvest, it's gradually changing. And so people who either plant earlier or later, either it affects the one who planted earlier or it affects the one who planted later, and we are unable to even tell the timing.
The direct victims of the climate change. That's what we see. Because if there's any evidence at all, we see it in the changing pattern of the climate or the weather, as you farmers know it. So we're not supposed to be experiencing rains in a particular month.
Yes.
Now we are having rains.
Yeah. For instance, in Agric farms, my farm managers called. They need tarpaulins to quickly harvest the beans, because initially we were expecting no rains, and so we just leave it and harvest it at our own pace and do the husking and bagging at our own pace. But now you have to purchase more tarpaulins, quickly harvest them, because otherwise when it rains you get them going bad on the field. And even with maize, we are scared it may happen for the minor season that we've planted. And so there are costs, unpredicted costs that we are incurring due to all these changes in climate conditions, and the farmer is bearing all this alone. Wow. At the end of the day.
That is the reality of the climate change conversation as we have it. Now you're having rains in November and then getting to December. So under normal circumstances, the month of January, February, March is the lean season for you farmers, right? But with this change in rainfall pattern, you suspect that we may even have some rainfall within that period.
At this point in time, we don't even trust so much of what we used to do before, and so we just have to farm as if we are in the major season, whereby you can experience rains at any time. Another
challenge is Ghana's agriculture being mainly rain-fed agriculture. That yes, we've had a number of initiatives to create dams and all, but we know the situation as it is now. Some of these interventions in ensuring some form of irrigation all year round hasn't proven to be effective, right? How has that also, in your view, impacted on you? For Accra, I see that because of this dam, you've laid pipes and so you can feed on the dam over there. But how about Ejira, where you are depending on the rains all year round?
It's quite challenging, Alfred, because even although in Ejura we are depending on the rain, I had to still construct, do a solar irrigation pump for them, because I mean, how do your farmers even get water to drink when they get to work on the farm? Even if it's the raining, they do it seasonally. They still need to work on the farm, preparing the land, planting to meet the rains and all that. How do they survive on the land? So water is very important to every farmer. And for Ejura, like you mentioned, we use the solar pump in the meantime, but we are unable to connect to the entire 60 acre of farm that we are currently cultivating. And so that's is a major challenge. For the policies being put in place, there are good policies in place for the agriculture. The implementation of it and the direct effects that has on the real farmer is what is missing here.
You are not the direct beneficiaries.
We are not the direct beneficiaries, and for me, sometimes I see it to be the lack of data, analytical data. Because if you have a data which now has every farmer with their various location in there, then you can analyze this data to make sure that whatever government interventions are made, it goes out to the direct people who really fit for or deserve those interventions. And so those are some of the challenges we are having with even the good policies being put in place. And so there are quite a number of things that we can do for the future of agriculture in Ghana. And for me, just to touch on that, it has to do with the age. Because today, as you see, the average Ghanaian farmer is above 65 years.
True.
Okay, and so clearly you can tell that the future of agriculture depends on the youth. And therefore, we must get more youth into the agricultural space. And then also when you look at the population, the current one that was conducted, you realize that women are slightly more than men. And that also tells that it means that the future of agriculture requires that we get more women participating in this sector, and not just beyond the usual labor and tilling of the land on small scales that we find women into. They must be part of the integral part of it, and even the value chain. Where are the technological things that we are employing in our agricultural systems in Ghana? We don't have it. Do we even have institutions that are set to train people in serious mechanization? We don't have it. We have a mechanization center, yes, but they sell tractors. They import tractors to support farmers. Yes, they are doing well. They are providing training. Those training are once in a year. And even with that, it is not something that somebody can easily walk in there and say, I want to be trained in tractor operation or machine operation, and therefore I'm signing up for this course. No. It is once a while, and until that happens, we all have to sit down and wait until that time, and that is a challenge.
Wow.
Do you get it? So these are some of the things that we see happening in the sector that we think, if we are not careful, will affect the future of Agric in Ghana.
That's the recommendation from Portia. She's on the ground. She's tilling the ground. She knows exactly what the challenges and the problems are with farming, and what, especially for her as a female into agriculture, is faced with. Apart from the cucumber and what the pepper and others we've seen, she's into fish farming as well.
Yeah.
So follow us. We're going to go to the fish pond so that we see what's happening there. So these are two, correct?
Yes, we have two.
Two of them. Wow. Okay.
Why is that? You have the feed.
Okay, so there's a gentleman here who, Chief, yes sir. Yes sir. What's your name, sir?
Obed.
Obed.
Please,
So Obed is here with, so you they are in there.
Yes.
Wow. So what types of fishes are these?
These are catfish.
And how long have you been doing this?
This, I think, for the past, you can feed them, for the past 4 months, as part of our interventions to helping with the agriculture industry, we embark on projects that train youth in agribusiness and women in particular.
Right.
And so this year, we got support from GIZ to train about 200 people in agribusiness and vocation. And some of them chose aquaculture. I wanted to talk about the holistic support of the agriculture. A lot of people are pushing the youth into agribusiness.
Yes.
However, we do not give them that support system that can set them up wholly.
Right.
Everybody is talking about youth going to agribusiness. How are they going into it?
Absolutely.
How do they just stand up and go into agribusiness when they don't have the support? We would like to do more. It's just that unfortunately we don't have so much funding to do that. But for us, the realistic thing is train them, support them with startup resources to set up, and you handhold them, coach them until they are sustainable. You don't just set them up and leave them. You have to be giving them refresher courses that helps them to do the right practices that will help them to be sustainable in the industry. This was filled with 3,000 fingerlings. This has 4,000
So we're going to
fingerlings.
go to the second
Yes.
one, right? So this is the
But interestingly, Alfred, I just paid visit to the beneficiaries last week. They are cut across 7 regions in Ghana. Most of them in the BA and Ashanti. We have Western off, and then Central Eastern, and then Greater Accra here. Some have already harvested, smoked their fish, and already selling them on the market.
I see.
Yes. We have quite a number of them too.
Wow, this is an army.
Rearing their sheep and goats at the moment. Piggery people are currently getting their piglets from the number of pigs that was delivered onto them.
So it is indeed the case that young people actually want to get into agriculture.
Of course.
But then again, because the support mechanism is not there, the right interventions and the pillars to sustain that enthusiasm is not there, you certainly cannot get them in if all these things are absent.
Of course. I mean, they start and they fall back. So you see people saying, I've been able to train this. Today, when you ask where are those people that were trained in various areas, where are they today? They've all fallen back because they don't have that resources to set up. Last year we did a project called Graduate in Agribusiness, whereby we trained graduates in vegetable production with the support of from Hortifresh. And after the project, we realized that the graduates were so much interested to go into the industry, but they didn't have the land. They didn't have the simple irrigation material to set up. These are new graduates, haven't been employed before. How do they get started? And so we actually saw a fault in that structure, and quickly we had interactions with the sponsors and made them understand the necessity of getting these people to be set up. And I mean, gracefully they listened to us, and now we have about 8 of them who completed universities. Wow. And are now set up in vegetable production.
Graduates.
We have one a team, and we always put them into teams so that we can have ripple effect. We have a team in Cape Coast, some who finished graduated from University of Cape Coast, quite a number of them from University of Ghana, Agric Agricultural Training College, and then other training institutes who are now into full-time vegetable production and supply onto our markets. Meanwhile, when we finished the training about a year, they were idle. They couldn't set themselves up until that support came. And that was why our new intervention, which is the reintegration of migrants and supporting unemployed youth that we are having with the Ghana German Center and then AP Oak and Oak Foundation. We try to train, set them up, coach them, ensure sustainability. That is and it's throughout the whole entire value chain. We shouldn't just focus on production. The value chain is important because at the end of the day, that's what takes from the farm to table. That's what puts food on the table. And so we shouldn't just focus on one area and leave the other, and at the end of the day we still go back to where we are. So yes, the youth, we are championing the youth going into agribusiness and all that, but where are the tools and the support system to actually get them have the interest and desire, or motivate them to actually go into? Otherwise they start and they fall off along the line. But the usual greenhouse, so far with the experiences of others, I don't think it's really working for us. It's very complex. If you are unable to invest in all the equipment heavily, you get stuck along the way.
Yeah. So what are you planting here?
Here we're going to do some cucumbers, some lettuce, and then tomatoes. All the time we are training, capacity building. When you build their capacity, you have to also give them an enabling environment to operate, and it comes with resources. And that is why it is very important that, yes, although there are good policies in place for agriculture, I think there should be right mechanisms, very well thought out strategies to ensure that these policies actually materialize realistically and not just mere words.